Universal money is business, and we always say in business means money. Stability in business means a lot of money, and a lot of errors are being done after 5 years of almost political turmoil in Egypt to go ahead again and pick up from what we left and more. Yesterday, President Sisi said in an interview on television that the state is currently managing 8 national projects which are executed by 1,000 companies, and nearly 2 million employees or workers are working there, although he warned that development in the health sector and education is unlikely for some time. The cost of the projects undertaken by the states are 1.3 trillion Egyptian pounds, which is equivalent to $146 billion. Also, President Sisi said that we are building state institutions, he said, and he cautioned against social media that delude the youth or give wrong information in many instances, in addition to changes that are to be done in the media, controlling it, not for the sake of controlling it, but to know what should be said, what's not should be said. There is a lot to talk about in this episode, actually, and we have with us our guest, Dr. Fouad Abu State, Professor of Economics. Welcome, sir, with us here. We have Dr. Said Al-Khouli, Vice Dean of the Faculty of Commerce and Business at Shams University. Welcome, sir, with us here.
Thank you.
Well, starting as we always start every week with the developments, new developments, how do you qualify the state now, managing the economy, what's going on in Egypt in your point of view in general?
Well, Egypt has a lot of potential perspective in general, and since the president took office, I think the country is in progress, and there's a lot of improvement in economic fronts and also business fronts, beside the political fronts. So all of these fronts also allow Egypt to take a stand in the international scene. But as far as the domestic economy is concerned, we felt, as all of the citizens, increasing in the prices. This is also reflecting in high inflations. For that reason, it's very important to take care of the needy people, because the higher the price, the bad burden will be borne by the poor people. And particularly, we are coming to Shahr Ramadan. Also, this needs to be controlled and also managed. For that reason, and also we would like to see more of private business opening, particularly small and medium enterprises, and more of foreign investments to come in also, because those are the ingredient of creating more of the employment and job needed. For that reason, I think the country is progressing, has a lot of potentials, but also there's a lot to do in the future.
Dr. Said Al-Khouli, how do you see what's going on in Egypt, economically speaking?
Yes. Going back to your intro, you mentioned there is a 8 mega project.
Yes.
And if you look at this 8 mega project, we're talking about infrastructure, economical and industrial and agriculture infrastructure. One of them, in order we seek foreign direct investment to come to Egypt. Assume I am a private investor from X country, from any country, coming to invest in Egypt. The first thing I would need is the energy. And 2 of the mega projects, which introduced by President Sisi yesterday, which I enjoyed listening to him, first of all, talking about energy. You remember 3-4 years ago, and during especially these days when we have high school examination, the electricity, it used to be, we have shortage in electricity 3-4 times a day.
Especially in the summer and heat.
Absolutely. And now we don't have this problem. Why? Because we invested in the infrastructure, in energy. Not only electricity, but solar system. We start to invest in that. And nuclear energy in Daba. And that's also a mega project. And it happened in a very short of time. And when you talk about this mega project, it can take years and years. What happened? In 1 or 2 years, all of this happened. And of course, behind this scene, there is a player where yesterday when he talked about, he said, we bargain. He said, no, we negotiate. So he speaks the language of business.
Yes.
Negotiate means bringing the best company in this kind of business, like Siemens, for example, and brought them and convinced them to work with Egypt with a very low budget for Egyptian after 3 or 4 or 5 years from the uprising we have, all of this happened to revolution, which it cost to rebuild this country, not in 5 years, in 10 years, maybe in 20 years. And the dream happened. So when we talk about leadership, it's very important. And that's a lesson for leadership. I'm Egyptian, I'm speaking about Egyptian president, but when I go to Europe, I hear that from European people about the leadership of this president. When I go to the state, I hear the same kind of vision. He have a vision. He feel for the people. But remember, we have a limited budget, we have a limited resources, but the language I hear now from minister, from the government, translating his message, which is we should best utilize our resources in order to be effective and productive at the same time, and we have to have efficiency for utilizing our resources. I remember a couple of weeks ago when he opened one of the projects, and the Minister of Irrigation was talking, and the presidency took his word from his mouth. We should really reserve the drop of water. And the President Sisi took that, and in his speech, where we should really utilize our resources. We misuse our resources. And when it happens, a drought in the States, for example, there is no car wash, and that's a law.
True.
But here, we don't utilize our resources. Coming to the studio today, on the street downstairs.
Plumbing is not okay.
Absolutely. And, because it's hot and so on. And that is misutilization of our resources.
True.
So if you can keep that in our educational curriculum, to teach young kids how to utilize our resources, water, electricity, and so on, will be moving forward. Going back to the mega project, we talked about energy, we talked about water supply, and there is another agriculture, 4 million acre, which to be planned in the near future. 1.5 million started already. And that is a mega project. Speaking about young kids and education, we have now in Egypt for the first time, we used to have it in international university, but not for the public or the Egyptian citizen, the Egyptian Knowledge Bank, which is, I believe, that is one of the mega projects where to develop the mind of our kids, of our youth. Another mega project, which is the preparation, which I'm proud to be participating in this project, which preparing future leader for Egypt. He talked about 2,000, where I was handling about 200 of them. And these people, they are working in the government, they are working in governance and all over Egypt, and they really have the challenge to do better for the future in Egypt. When I see all of that, agriculture, industry, development mind, I believe we are going in the right direction. But we have to be patient. Patient means what? This will never happen overnight. He doesn't have a Moses stick where he drops the stick and everything will be fine overnight. That's not the case. We have to, as I remember, I told a couple of years ago in this program, the 3W, work, work, work. It's required for every Egyptian individual, for the government, for all people to really work in order to make this dream come through in the near future.
Well, concerning those, who are not working, but then, like just spreading using social media in order to spread wrong information or like always spread pessimism among youth. Either they are, misinformed or they are doing that on purpose, but we see a lot of those, and then people come say, like we spend so much in the Suez Canal, the new Suez Canal, it's not working, we spend this, we spend that, things are not working, things are not working. How do you answer that?
Well, I think the media has a strong effect and impact on the audience. And also the audience listen to the media. Besides, also other people participate in spreading the pessimism. The Egyptians need to look at the perspective, evaluate the performance of the economy, also evaluate the performance of the mega project. And here is very important to mention, the fruits of the mega projects needs time to fulfill and be realized. Nobody will deny this takes time. Besides what you have said in the intro, that the government spends 1.3 trillion Egyptian pound. This is an inflow in the economy. This is inflow in the economy spread over and also give the economy a motive to expand. And also when the government spends, provides a signal to private sectors also to take an action on that. It's a multidimensional issues. It's not a single issues that you need to concentrate on. It's a multidimensional. It's educational, it's health, it's a mega projects, it's a media, it's a people, it's also like the professor have mentioned, is also working. It's not only single indicators that you can use. Egypt has been deteriorated over a long time. And nobody denies that we have a very, very strong bureaucracy. And once you have strong bureaucracy, this is one of the main obstacles that not only facing the foreign investors, but also the private investors. And also putting a burden on the small and medium enterprise. People expect more from the foreign investment ministers, expect more of the public sector's ministers, expect more from the economic committees at the Prime Minister's office. People need to be communicated and need to send the positive message. Back to the what you have mentioned, the impact of the media. Yes, the media has a strong impact, and nobody will deny this. Even in the most developed country, like United States, or Britain, or Germany, or what have you, all of this is depend on the media to take the right news, and also the media also influence the culture and the knowledge of the people. And also, unfortunately, more than 55% of the Egyptian is illiterate. And then when we have this high percentage of illiterate people, then it's easily to influence their thoughts. And also the people who proponent of the progress would say, we have this, we build this, and then we need that. But those who are against this approach, they are spreading the pessimism and say, we have this problem.
Well, they say, they say, they say that, nothing is working. They say that, it's like, who says, you don't know anything yourself and you're spreading wrong information.
Listen, let's face it. There is no country free of problems. Particularly in this last 2 years, when the whole world is facing the recession, slowing down in China also has put a lot of influence in the Gulf countries. And also you have a lot of people working in the Gulf countries. Remittances have been influenced. Foreign investment has been influenced.
Yes.
Portfolio investment has been also declined. So we are not facing only one single challenge. We are facing international challenge, if you like, and domestic challenge. Besides the institutional building up is also another important issue. And also, I would inclined to accept the argument by the professors about the importance of education. Yes, education is very essential. And Egypt will not develop and take the right path unless we have proper and well-educated people. Education starts from the primary school to where do we have the high school and universities, and also in the PhD students. This is also needs a lot of attention from the government, but you need also to put attention to health, because health and education is parallel and too essential. If you don't have any educated people, you don't have unproductive person. If you don't have any educated people, you have unhealthy person, and vice versa. For that reason, it's a circle need to be filled out and also looked at in a very sincere, and also nobody will also deny that we need a lot of investments, and also we need also the people and Egyptians need to put the value of time and work. This is our very, very important. I mean, if those of us who receive the education from outside, like myself, we appreciate the value of time. Time is money, they call there. And also time is important. And also building the skills of the Egyptian. I think this is one of the challenging that facing this is the government. Building the skills of all the working people, private and public, and also the private sector. Now they are suffering from the skilled people in all of the areas. For that reason, I think this is one of the challenging that the president has been also talking about it indirectly, I would say.
True, true. So, we are facing challenges in every aspect, and yet, like we're trying very hard, in almost all aspects, as much as we can in order to rise up or develop.
I come from a managerial perspective. What happened? You can summarize that there is a change. And what the president doing is a change. And there is a rule in management. When you have a change, you have people with the change and people resisting the change. And remember, we have 2 years ago, we have a regime.
True.
And this regime was taken by the people. And this regime is not here anymore. But there is people behind the scene belong to this regime.
True.
Which, whatever you are doing, they are going to reflect it in a negative way.
True.
I trust Egyptian people, and that's what the president said yesterday. The people trust their leader. And we really, I remember my colleague says 55% or 50 or more, I don't know the exact percentage, of our people, they are illiterate. Illiterate, yes, but they have guts for Egypt.
Yes.
They have the will for Egypt. They don't want Egypt to fall down. And it will never fall down, Egypt. Egypt will stand, even so we have illiterate people, we have resistance, but there is a lot of people willing to make Egypt stand again, and it's already standing. Remember, all this international visit was foreign visit with people from all over the world.
True.
In the last 2 years, the leader of the world came to Egypt. I'm sure by time all of this will be resolved. Remember, the more success we have, the less of this social media or social resistance, whatever, it will go down. And of course, when you talk about the media, TV is very important.
True.
Awareness is very important. We should take a look for the positive side, not the negative side. We should really increase the positive power, not the negative power. And that is it should be the focus of the media in the coming period of time. We should really focus on that. The more you talk about, for example, during 1973 wars and the hero and all this kind of good story, it gives a good positive message for the young people to defend their country in the future. The same. Remember, it is not really, it's a mega project, but we see the result in a very short period of time. And that is what I really teach these people from the government in order to successfully, in terms of strategic and vision and so on, we should really think in a tactical way or short-term way. And that is what this social media focus on. They talk about the price of rice, for example, and all of that, which it's really meaningless. It's really meaningless to talk about this negative, especially in these days. People in Egypt, I remember when during the 70s and so on, and the 60s, we used to say, شد الحزام. It means we have to really tighten up our resources in order to... Now, we don't have this story anymore. But remember, there is a potential for Egypt, and there is a potential success for Egypt. And I guarantee for you, will be successful, because we have a leadership where he knows what these people needs, and he will do it, and he is ability to do it, and he will do it. That's one thing. The other thing, as my colleague mentioned, the role of education. And it's a very simple way. We have ministers from all different areas come to the university, go to high school. And I remember when I was in the state, they used to have a program called Good Morning America. And that's an idea where you can really take it for the Egyptian TV. And what they do is to have Good Morning America from all different schools. Each day, 365 days a year, every day, Good Morning America. They broadcast from a university, they broadcast from middle school, high school, and so on, even KG school. And they bring all the kids and to say for America, Good Morning America. And they start talk a positive message for these kids. We have a lot of ministers. If you devote half an hour for Egyptian university student, for international university, which a lot of them in Egypt, transfer this message, transfer what the government doing, and their programs transfer for these kids, for this youth, in order to keep things in a positive way. That is how to fight resistance. But
to be more transparent, to be just focused on transparency.
Absolutely.
Yes.
If you avoid it, this resistance, it will grow, and it will be crisis. So we have to face it. One way is the media, and that's a very simple way. As I told you, like Good Morning, make Good Morning Egypt in different school, and that is everybody will watch it in all over Egypt. And another thing, let this public official go visit school, go visit university, half an hour or 15 minutes, but transfer this
message.
I remember in early 80s, it was a big motor vehicle company was filed for bankruptcy. And it came a leader, Lee Iacocca, and he switched this company upside down from bankruptcy to number 3 worldwide, Chrysler, for example. And that is happened, one individual. So I always say all it takes is one individual. If they have the right message, if they know how to communicate with people, this resistance, it will deteriorate over time. And I'm sure it will happen.
Any comments?
Well, I agree with most of my colleagues have mentioned, but I am inclined to don't agree with some of that. He said when we grow more, the resistance will grow less. I think no. I think the more the perspective that Egypt has, the more the resistance comes from outside to fight.
Yeah,
Egypt.
we have outside and then fostering inside resistance. We do have both
Yes.
ways. So
I think the issue here is there are some people don't want to see Egypt
rising.
or coming up.
With every we see with every project, with every good deed, something happens. Whether it's abroad or here, just to try to curb
Absolutely.
our
And the
growth.
doctor also, he's talking from the managerial point of view.
Perspective, yes.
If we add to it the economic point of view, then we come into the managerial economics point of view. This is also what we need, the mixture. Also, the president has the vision of where Egypt should be ending up. I think the government need to translate this vision into effective and active actions. We introduced the vision of 2030. Have you ever heard about it since then? Nobody heard about it. I think people, they know
yes. But what is it about?
Exactly. The professor have mentioned.
Yes.
Come and talk to people. Tell them the vision
is about
this,
yes.
and the goals after the vision should be divided to this, and then it need to be costing this. And this also, like I mentioned at the beginning, is a multidimensional and need to be a cost in every and single program. And then when we arrive at the decision, nobody says you should be reached today. Look at the experience of other countries. Look experience of China. Look experience of Far East. Look even the experience of Dubai. We need to accumulate. Egypt has a lot of resources, by the way. And most of the valuable resources is the human being.
But as we misuse our resources,
yes,
or we
exactly, but
we don't use them.
I
right.
mean, if you go outside and see most of prospective position in the States or Canada or Germany or other country are Egyptians. So I mean, and also these people, as far as I know them, they are willing to come and help.
Yes.
We all also receive our educations in the States. We are also willing, and also we're doing and helping the country. So Egypt, as far as human resources is concerned, no, Egypt is rich. Also in the natural resources, Egypt is rich. And also the whole issue is how we utilize the resources in more efficient way. And this also, by the way, I mean, this is clear to everybody. And we say it and say it and say it and oversay it. And sometimes people get bored from even hearing about it. For that reason, I think, like Doctor said, is we need the government to communicate.
In the right way.
In the right way, and deliver the message. Deliver that the president has the vision, and deliver that in the field of petroleum, this is will do. In the field of education, and then you divide it. I don't need to take the lot of time, but this is basic. It's very basic. I mean, this is not inventing the wheel, like they say.
Yes.
This is the basic. Then where? And think we need to apply the basic. Egypt has a lot of potential, and also we need to understand the international problems, and also we don't need to depend on gifts. I think Egypt needs to be partnership. Partnership means attracting foreign investors. I think we are not begging anybody to give us money. Actually, we're able to attract the money if you work hard enough, and think we are able to face the fierce competition that in international, we start the reform with Turkey in 1991. And then Turkey now is far ahead in economic-wise, but not in political-wise.
It's regretted.
Yeah, exactly. But in economic-wise, I mean, they are improving. I think we are capable. Look
Yes.
at, we also compare ourselves with Korea.
Yes.
And also with other countries. Now, even compare with yourself with the South Africa economies. We moved ahead of them today, last 3 weeks. But also we have a lot of potential. I think, to sum it up, we need to act, accumulate the resources, and have a vision and how we should build the people. Because, sorry to take more long, the Egyptian became impatient.
Yes.
With the results. Let's face it, be truthfully and
Well,
honest.
but they're not logical, because we've been in turmoil for 5 years. Then suddenly, and we're working very hard. The government, the president, and then some are not even taking part, and they're not working. Said work. They're not working.
Exactly.
We have lazy.
I mean, without
Yeah.
putting this in behind, people became impatient. Put it bluntly speaking, I think, and also government should listen to this view and try to find out not a short-term remedy, but rather than put it a short-term and then long-term remedy to correct for the bottlenecks.
And concerning the medium and small industries now, how do you see that the encouragement, or they are just faced by the rigorous red tape that we have that is really excelling on stopping anything that is, can push us forward?
I believe the solution for the Egyptian economy is a small and medium-sized business.
Yes.
And not only that, we should really focus in entrepreneurship in the future. And there is the Egyptian Bank and the Central Bank initiative for loan for small and medium-sized business, which from Al Ahli Bank, Masr Bank, Masr, and so on, they give loans for small entrepreneur. The issue is not the money. The issue is developing the mind of young entrepreneur. We have a lot of entrepreneurs in Egypt, but we don't see it. So we should look for all over Egypt. For example, I have a group from Asyut, which I visit Upper Egypt a lot these days.
Yes.
Where we work with people, young people. They graduated from engineering school and so on. And believe it or not, this group will present their project in the States next October in Washington, D.C. And they work in a project, and they show result, they saved a lot of money, and that's the issue. We should really, the government, they should focus their attention for developing a small business. Not only in financial way, but to develop a business plan, as my colleague mentioned. We don't talk about business plan. You give loans, and then what? If you don't know how to use it, you will lose it.
Yes.
That's a very simple way. So we should give them some knowledge how to develop a business plan, for example, how to come up with a new business idea, and then the financing come later on.
But also they need the marketing director. The marketing also represents another problem facing the small and medium enterprise. I mean, the whole ingredient here is there. But people have the idea, but when they apply, the president say, the governor of Central Bank say that we have about 2 billion pounds for the loan for the small and medium, with 5% or less as an interest rate. The issue here, when you apply to get the loan, there's a lot of bureaucracy
Yes,
in facing that. And also, we need to build the marketing, how to market the product.
Yes.
Because the whole issue is facing them is how to, when you be small, you need also to help in marketing,
True.
like the big companies and on storage. For that reason, I think it's very important to look at that. I think I agree totally with my colleague has mentioned, is the future of Egyptian development is based on small and medium enterprise.
But how do you see now, because we're running out of time, we have like a minute, the future?
The future is very perspective. I think I'm very optimistic about it. I think Egypt has a lot of potential to overcome the problems. And also we need to believe in ourselves and our presidents and our government. And also there is no country free of problems.
Sure.
So believe in yourself, Egyptians, just go work and then everything will be fine.
Dr. Sayed, well, one final word.
I always say when there is a will, there is a drive.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here with us. Dr. Fouad, I would say thank you very much for honoring us with your presence. And Dr. Sayed Al-Khouri, thank you very much for being there. And we'll have to sign off right now and have the latest in the stock market. I'm Nermin Nazim. Thank you for joining us. Wishing you all the best. And as we always end, long live our Egypt. Tahia Masr. Goodbye for now.
And happy Ramadan.
Egypt and Hungary have signed a letter of intent where Hungary will finance a sale of 700 train carriages to the Arab nation in a deal worth 900 million euros. Egypt will repay the financing over 12 years in addition to a 5-year grace period at an annual interest rate of 1.26%. The letter of intent signed between the Egyptian Ministers of International Cooperation, Finance and Transport and the CEO of the Hungarian Export-Import Bank also includes 80 train carriages to be given to the Egyptian National Railways as a gift worth a 100 million euro grant from the European country. EGX indices finished trading session on a mixed note, but EGX30 succeeded to settle above the mark of 7,500 and blue chip stocks significantly improved performance. The benchmark EGX30 jumped 72.39 points above the 7,500 area, or 1.19% to 7,572.39 points on blue chip stocks. Tracking EGX30 stocks, the largest constituent CIB closed 1% up, registering the highest turnover and was placed first in terms of turnover as it contributed around 26.6% to today's market turnover. Kala Holdings has completed 87% of construction works of the Egyptian refining company's ERC project. The project's investment totaled $3.7 billion. The government added that the project aims to produce 4.2 million tons of fuel oil and 7 million tons of crude oil annually. The project will narrow the gap between production and domestic consumption of gasoline and diesel by 50%. Kala Holdings owns 20% of ERC, while EGPC and a number of large investors from Egypt and the GCC own 80%. The Central Bank of Egypt (CBA) said it would hold a regular dollar auction for $120 million on Tuesday. Earlier, the Central Bank of Egypt said foreign currency auctions would be reduced to 1 per week instead of 3. In March, the Bank of Egypt devalued the Egyptian pound by 14.5% against US dollar and then raised the value by 7 piasters to officially stand at 8.95 Egyptian pounds per dollar. Egypt's forex reserves retreated to 17 billion US dollars by the end of April from 36 billion US dollars registered before January 2011. Swiss group Terrestrial is targeting the formation of an alliance to pump direct investments worth $3.5 billion in the electricity sector. The targeted investments entail the establishment of a power plant using solar energy and a top plant for producing solar panels in Egypt to generate 2,000 megawatts of electricity. The head of the New and Renewable Energy Authority, Mohammed Subki, previously said that the expected investments in the renewable energy sector will reach $13 billion by 2020 and will account for 20% of electrical production in Egypt. International credit ratings agency Fitch affirmed its rating for Egypt's long-term foreign and local currency issuer default ratings at a B with a stable outlook. Fitch also affirmed its issue ratings on Egypt's senior unsecured foreign and local currency bonds a B, citing Egypt's high fiscal deficit and general government debt to GDP ratio, low foreign reserve coverage of imports and recent volatile political history against its low external debt and gradual economic and fiscal reform. Brazil's economy continued to shrink in the first quarter of 2016, contracting by 0.3%. It was the fifth consecutive quarter in which the economy has shrunk. However, the figure was not as bad as the 0.8% contraction that had been predicted by economists. Brazil is grappling with political crisis following the removal from office of President Dilma Rousseff pending an impeachment trial. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development cut its economic growth forecast for Brazil, citing political and corruption concerns. Capital Economics said it expects OPEC's meeting in Vienna this week to pass without any major surprises. Oil prices passed $50 per barrel last week for the first time in 2016, up more than 70% from prices recorded in January. It added that the rise in prices was likely to make policymakers a little happier. Capital Economics said it did not expect the OPEC meeting to conclude with any meaningful agreement. UK manufacturing activity rose slightly in May, raising concerns over the economy's strength in the run-up to the 23 June European Union referendum. The market CIPS Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index grew to 50.1 from 49.4 in April, which had been the lowest reading since early 2013. The 50 mark separates manufacturing growth from contraction, with the sector now just on the positive side. Manufacturing failed to boost overall UK growth during 2015 and early 2016. UK economic growth slowed to 0.4% in the fourth quarter of the year from 0.6% in late 2015, propped up by the services sector. US stock prices rose in a late rebound with the oil market and an encouraging economic report from the Federal Reserve, but equity prices in other major world markets fell on worrisome Chinese and European factory data. The US dollar slipped on fresh doubts about a Federal Reserve interest rate rise in June and Japan's postponement of a sales tax increase. Oil prices had tumbled earlier on expectations major oil producers would not reach a deal to freeze output at an OPEC meeting before buying emerged in late trading. US Treasury bond prices ended lower on the late bounce in stock and commodity prices. Japan has delayed plans to raise the country's sales tax to 10% from the current 8%. The tax increase was supposed to take place next year, but now Prime Minister Shinzo Abe wants to delay it to late 2019. Abe says he wants to speed up his Abenomics policy, which aims to reverse more than a decade of deflation and stimulate economic growth. The sales tax was first introduced in 1989 at a rate of 3%. The rise in the sales tax from 8% to 10% was initially meant to take place in October 2015, but it was then moved to April 2017 and now been pushed back even further. The Bank of Japan introduced a negative interest rate policy of negative 0.1% in January, a move which surprised many economists. Gold prices declined amid rising fears that US Federal Reserve may increase interest rates. London Stock Exchange saw a slide in spot gold price by 0.3 to 1,221.45 per ounce. Gold futures also fell by 0.2% to 1,220.3 per ounce. The US Federal Reserve is likely to hike interest rates in the coming 2 months. Americans' willingness to open their wallets shot to a 7-year high in April, but confidence in the US economy fell in May. US consumer spending jumped 1% in April, the largest month-on-month gain since August 2009. Consumer spending makes up 2/3 of US economic activity. But in May, the Consumer Confidence Index dipped to 92.6 from 94.7 in April, as Americans worried about the long-term outlook of the job market. Consumer spending was flat in March and rose by just 0.2% in February.